Honestly, working for you is hilarious. Did you really think that presentation was
It
good?
was good enough to get me promoted.
Natalie Harper clutched her laptop bag as she sprinted through Boston Logan Airport, her heels clicking frantically against the polished floor. The digital clock above the departure gate mocked her with its glowing numbers. Her flight to Denver was boarding in 5 minutes. She still had an entire terminal to cross. The day had been a disaster from start to finish. The marketing presentation ran to hours over time. Her coffee spilled across her notes during lunch. Now she was about to miss the only flight that would get her home before midnight. Tomorrow morning meant facing the new CEO everyone whispered about in hushed, nervous tones. Her chest burned as she finally reached gate B27, showing her boarding pass to the attendant with a breathless smile. The woman scanned it and nodded, gesturing toward the jetway. Natalie stumbled down the narrow corridor, silently thanking whatever forces controlled airport timing. The seat assignment inside the cabin. Warm air wrapped around her like a blanket. She found her row and immediately noticed the man already seated by the window. He looked up from his book, and Natalie felt her breath catch for reasons that had nothing to do. With her recent sprint, he was handsome in that effortless way some men managed without trying. Dark hair swept back neatly, strong jawline, and eyes the color of warm honey. He wore a simple black sweater that somehow looked expensive, and when he smiled at her, small lines appeared at the corners of his eyes. "Good evening," he said, his voice smooth and friendly. "Cutting it close?" Natalie laughed, shoving her bag into the overhead compartment. "You have no idea. I basically ran a marathon through 3 terminals. Impressive." He moved his legs to let her slide into the middle seat. "Business trip." "Marketing conference," Natalie replied, settling in and buckling her seatbelt. 3 days of presentations about consumer psychology and brand awareness. My brain feels like scrambled eggs." The man chuckled, closing his book. "It sounds exhausting." "Heading home?" "Denver, yes." "You?" "Same. I have a meeting tomorrow morning that I cannot miss under any circumstances." Small talk turns personalized. The plane taxied toward the runway. They continued talking. His name was Ryan, he told her, and he worked in business management. He asked thoughtful questions about her work, seeming genuinely interested in her answers. Natalie found herself relaxing, the stress of the day melting away. "So what brings you to Denver?" she asked as the plane lifted into the darkening sky. "New position," Ryan said carefully. "Starting fresh with a company that needs some direction," Natalie groaned. "Speaking of new positions, my company just got a new CEO. Everyone is terrified. The rumors make him sound like some kind of corporate robot. No personality, no warmth, just numbers and efficiency."
Yes.
Ryan's eyebrow lifted slightly. "That sounds harsh. Have you met him?" "Tomorrow morning, actually. The whole team has to attend this big introduction meeting." Natalie rolled her eyes. "Honestly, based on what I have heard, he sounds completely unbearable. People say he walks into rooms and the temperature drops 10 degrees. They call him the Ice King behind his back." "The Ice King," Ryan repeated, amusement dancing in his eyes. "Creative, right?" Natalie warmed to her topic, not noticing how intently Ryan was listening. Apparently he fired 3 people at his last company just for being late to a meeting. Can you imagine? And someone told me he once made an intern cry just by looking at her presentation. Who does that? Ryan tilted his head. "Maybe there is more to the story," maybe Natalie conceded, "but honestly, I am just dreading tomorrow. I worked so hard on this campaign proposal, and if Mr. Freeze shoots it down without even listening, I might actually scream." Turbulence and truth, the plane suddenly jolted, hitting a pocket of rough air. Natalie gripped the armrest, her knuckles turning white. She hated turbulence with a passion that bordered on irrational. Ryan noticed immediately. Without hesitation, he placed his hand over hers, steady and warm. "Hey, it is okay. Just a little bump. Breathe with me." Natalie looked into his eyes and found such calm certainty there that her panic began to fade. She matched her breathing to his, slow and steady, until the shaking passed and the plane smoothed out. "Thank you," she whispered. "I know it is silly, but I have never been good with flying." "It's not silly at all," Ryan assured her. "Everyone has something that scares them. They sat in comfortable silence for a moment, his hand still covering hers. Natalie realized she did not want to move it. "You know what?" she said softly. "You are really easy to talk to. I have been complaining about work and my boss for 20 minutes, and you have not run away screaming." Ryan smiled, that warm, genuine smile that made her stomach flip. "I find you fascinating, Natalie Harper." She blinked. "How do you know my full name?" "Your laptop bag," he said, gesturing to where it stuck out from under the seat. "It has your name embroidered on it." Oh. Natalie laughed, relief flooding through her. "Right, of course. Landing." And parting when the plane touched down in Denver, Natalie felt an unexpected sadness. The flight had passed too quickly. She gathered her belongings slowly, trying to stretch out these last few minutes. Ryan stood, retrieving both their bags from the overhead compartment with easy strength. He handed hers over with a slight bow, formal and charming. "It was truly a pleasure flying with you, Natalie," he said, his voice carrying a note she could not quite identify. "I hope your meeting tomorrow goes better than you expect." "Thank you," she replied, meaning it. "And good luck with your new position." He smiled then, a mysterious, knowing smile that made her heart skip. "Something tells me tomorrow will be very interesting for both of us." Before she could ask what he meant, Ryan moved into the stream of departing passengers, disappearing into the crowd. Natalie stood frozen, replaying his words. Wondering why they sounded almost like a warning, she shook her head, laughing at herself. She was reading too much into a simple conversation with a friendly stranger. Tomorrow she would meet her terrifying new boss, give her presentation, and hopefully keep her job. What were the chances that anything else would happen? Natalie woke to golden sunlight streaming through her bedroom window, feeling oddly refreshed despite arriving home past midnight. She stretched, remembering the flight and the kind stranger who had calmed her fears. Ryan. Even his name sounded warm in her mind. She pushed the thought away as she prepared for work. Today required absolute focus. The new CEO would be evaluating everyone, and Natalie needed to prove she belonged on the leadership track. She selected her best navy suit, the one that made her feel confident and professional, paired it with a cream blouse, and pulled her auburn hair into a sleek ponytail. Her roommate and best friend, Jessica Chen, appeared in the doorway holding 2 travel mugs of coffee. Jessica worked as a graphic designer at a different company, but understood corporate pressure perfectly. "Big day," Jessica said, handing over a mug. "You ready to meet the legendary Ice King?" Natalie accepted the coffee gratefully. "As ready as I will ever be. I practiced my presentation 17 times last night before bed." "You're going to be amazing," Jessica assured her. "Your campaign ideas are brilliant. Even a robot CEO will see that." The glass tower Mitchell & Associates occupied 15 floors of a sleek glass building in downtown Denver. Natalie arrived 30 minutes early, joining the stream of employees who all seemed to share the same nervous energy. The lobby buzzed with whispered conversations and speculation. She rode the elevator to the 12th floor, where the marketing department resided. Her colleague, Tom Davidson, was already at his desk, looking pale. "Did you hear?" Tom asked immediately. "The CEO meeting got moved to the main conference room. Apparently he wants to address all department heads and their teams together." When Natalie set down her bag, pulse quickening. 9 o'clock sharp. 30 minutes from now. Natalie spent those 30 minutes reviewing her notes, though her mind kept drifting to the plane. Something about Ryan had felt significant, beyond simple attraction. The way he listened, the intelligence in his questions, the mysterious smile when they parted. "Stop it," she told herself firmly. "Focus on what matters." The conference room revelation at exactly 9 o'clock. Natalie filed into the large conference room with approximately 50 other employees. The space felt charged with anticipation. Everyone found seats quickly, conversations dropping to whispers as they waited. The door at the front of the room opened. The chief operations officer, Margaret Stone, entered first. She was a stern woman in her 50s who rarely smiled, but commanded absolute respect. "Good morning, everyone," Margaret began. "As you know, Mitchell & Associates has entered an exciting new chapter. Our new CEO comes to us with an impressive track record of transforming companies and driving innovation. Please welcome Ryan Mitchell." The world tilted sideways. Ryan walked into the conference room. Natalie felt all the air leave her lungs in a single, shocked exhale. He wore a charcoal suit that fit him perfectly, a crisp white shirt and a burgundy tie. His dark hair was styled immaculately, and those honey-colored eyes swept across the room with calm authority. When his gaze found hers, his expression did not change. But something flickered in his eyes. Recognition, amusement, challenge. Natalie wanted to disappear. She wanted the floor to open and swallow her whole. Every single word she had said on that plane came rushing back with horrifying clarity. He sounds completely unbearable. The Ice King. Made an intern cry? Corporate robot, oh no. Oh no, 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 no. The introduction Ryan began speaking, his voice filling the room with that same smooth, confident tone from the plane. But now it carried an additional weight of authority that made everyone sit up straighter. Thank you, Margaret. Good morning, everyone. I know transitions can be unsettling, so let me be direct about my intentions. I am here because Mitchell and Associates has incredible potential that has not been fully realized. You have talented people, strong client relationships, and innovative ideas. What you have been lacking is cohesive direction. He clicked a remote, and a presentation appeared on the large screen behind him. Numbers, charts, projected growth trajectories. Over the next 6 months, we will be restructuring operations, but not through layoffs or fear tactics. We will be restructuring through empowerment. I want each department to propose bold initiatives, take risks, challenge assumptions. The days of playing it safe are over. Natalie listened, torn between mortification and fascination. This was not the cold tyrant people had described. Ryan spoke with passion about innovation, about trusting employees, about building something remarkable together. Had all those rumors been completely wrong? Or was she seeing a side of him others did not? The direct approach after his presentation, Ryan invited questions. Several hands shot up, and he answered each inquiry thoughtfully, showing detailed knowledge of company operations. Then his eyes landed on Natalie. I believe we have someone from marketing who has been working on a new campaign proposal. Natalie Harper, correct? Every head in the room turned toward her. Natalie felt heat flood cheeks, but she forced herself to stand. Yes, sir. I've reviewed your preliminary brief. I would like you to present the full concept to the executive team next Monday. Can you have everything prepared by then? Natalie's mind raced. That gave her only 4 working days to perfect a presentation that was already stretching her abilities. But backing down now would make her look weak. Absolutely, she said, keeping her voice steady. I will have it ready. Ryan nodded, approval clear in his expression. Excellent. I look forward to seeing what you have developed. The meeting continued, but Natalie barely heard anything else. Her heart pounded so loudly she was certain everyone around her could hear it. When Ryan finally dismissed them, people stood slowly, chattering with renewed energy. The new CEO had surprised them all by being approachable and visionary rather than tyrannical. Natalie tried to slip out quickly, but Margaret stopped her. Natalie, Mr. Mitchell would like a word. His office, please. The private meeting Ryan's office occupied a corner space with floor-to-ceiling windows, overlooking the Denver skyline. The room was surprisingly warm despite its modern design. Books lined one wall, and a few personal photographs sat on the desk. Though Natalie could not see them clearly from where she stood, Ryan stood by the window, his back to her. When he turned around, that familiar smile played at his lips. Close the door, please. Natalie did, her hands trembling slightly. Mr. Mitchell, I want to apologize for everything I said on the plane. I had no idea who you were, and I was repeating ridiculous gossip that I should never have believed. Ryan walked closer, stopping a few feet away. Natalie, do you know why I did not tell you who I was? She shook her head mutely, because I wanted to hear the truth. I wanted to know what my new team really thought without the filter of professional politeness. Your honesty, even though it was based on rumors, told me something important. That I am unprofessional and judgmental. Natalie asked miserably. That you are authentic? Ryan corrected gently. You care about this company. You were worried about working under someone who might stifle creativity. That passion is exactly what I need. Natalie looked up, meeting his eyes. The kindness there matched the man from the plane, not the cold executive from the rumors. The truth is, Ryan continued, most of those stories were either exaggerations or outright fabrications by people who resisted necessary changes, but I let the reputation stand because it made certain transitions easier. However, I do not want my team here to be afraid of me. I want them to challenge me, just like you did in that meeting. I challenged you, Natalie asked, confused. Ryan smiled. You accepted an extremely tight deadline without hesitation. That tells me you believe in your work enough to fight for it. That is exactly the attitude I want to cultivate. The unexpected gift. As Natalie turned to leave, feeling slightly less mortified, Ryan spoke again. One more thing. I understand you prefer vanilla lattes. Extra hot. She froze, hand on the door handle. How did you know that? You mentioned it on the plane, Ryan said simply. You said you needed one desperately after your long conference day. Natalie turned back slowly. Why would you remember something like that? Ryan held her gaze, something unreadable in his expression. Because I remember everything you said, Natalie. Everything. The air between them felt suddenly charged with something neither of them could name. Professional boundaries blurred at the edges, leaving space for something else entirely. I should go, Natalie managed. Thank you for the opportunity with the presentation. I look forward to Monday, Ryan replied. And Natalie? You might find a coffee waiting on your desk most mornings. Consider it a small gesture of appreciation for your honesty. Natalie left his office in a daze, her mind spinning. When she reached her desk, Jessica was waiting with eager, curious eyes. Tell me everything, Jessica demanded. Natalie sank into her chair, staring at nothing. I think I might be in serious trouble. Is good trouble or bad trouble? Natalie thought about honey-colored eyes, mysterious smiles, and the way her heart had skipped when Ryan said he remembered everything. I honestly have no idea. Monday morning arrived with the weight of expectation. Natalie reached her desk at 7:30, determined to make final adjustments to her presentation before the afternoon meeting. Sitting beside her computer was a white cup with steam rising gently from the lid. Vanilla latte, extra hot. She touched the cup, feeling its warmth, and glanced toward Ryan's office. Through the glass walls, she could see him already at work, focused on his computer screen. As if sensing her attention, he looked up. Their eyes met across the office space. He gave the smallest nod before returning to his work. Tom appeared beside her desk, eyebrows raised. Is that from who I think it is from? I have no idea what you mean, Natalie replied, taking a sip and failing to hide her smile. Right. And I suppose the CEO personally reviewing your campaign draft 3 times last week was also completely normal. Natalie's head snapped up. He reviewed it 3 times? Margaret mentioned it. Apparently, he has been giving feedback, asking questions, making sure you have all the resources you need. Tom leaned against her desk, studying her face. Natalie, what exactly happened between you two? Nothing, she said quickly. Too quickly. We met briefly before I knew who he was, and now things are just professional. Tom looked unconvinced, but dropped the subject when Margaret walked past, reminding everyone about the executive presentation at 2 o'clock. The presentation in the executive conference room felt different from other meeting spaces. Larger, more formal, with 12 leather chairs around a massive oak table. Natalie set up her laptop, hands steady, despite her racing heart. She had practiced this presentation countless times, refining every slide. Anticipating every question, Ryan entered last, taking the head of the table. He wore a navy suit today, and when he smiled at her, it was purely professional. But Natalie noticed the encouragement in his eyes. Whenever you are ready, Ms. Harper, he said formally. Natalie began. She spoke about reaching younger demographics through authentic storytelling, about building brand loyalty through emotional connection rather than aggressive advertising. Her voice grew stronger as she moved through each slide, her passion for the work overriding her nervousness. The other executives listened intently, occasionally nodding or making notes. But Natalie found herself speaking primarily to Ryan, watching his reactions, adjusting her emphasis based on his subtle cues. When she finished, Silence filled the room for 3 long seconds. Then Ryan leaned forward. That was exceptional. Questions from the team. The chief financial officer raised concerns about budget allocation. The head of client relations wanted clarification on timeline. Natalie answered each question confidently, her preparation paying off. Finally, Ryan spoke again. I think we have our flagship campaign for next quarter. Natalie, I'm approving your proposal with full departmental support. You will lead the project team. Select whoever you need from marketing and creative. Natalie felt joy burst through her chest like sunlight. Thank you, Mr. Mitchell. I will not let you down. I know you will not, Ryan replied. And something in his tone made her believe he meant more than just professional confidence. Late night collaboration over the following weeks. Natalie threw herself into the campaign with fierce dedication. Her team worked long hours, but the energy felt electric rather than exhausting. They were building something meaningful, something that could transform how the company connected with customers. Ryan often stayed late as well, and somehow their schedules aligned. Natalie would be reviewing creative mock-ups at 8 o'clock and find Ryan stopping by with coffee. He would be analyzing budget projections at 9:30 and Natalie would offer a second opinion on the numbers. Their conversations during these late sessions ranged far beyond work. They discovered shared tastes in books, both loving classic literature but guilty of reading thriller novels on vacation. They debated philosophy over Chinese takeout at 10 o'clock on a Wednesday. They laughed about terrible movies they secretly enjoyed. One Thursday evening, Natalie was alone in the conference room, surrounded by poster boards showing campaign visuals. She had been staring at them for an hour, trying to decide between 2 tagline options. You are overthinking it. Ryan's voice came from the doorway. She turned. Finding him leaning against the frame, tie loosened, sleeves rolled up, her heart did that annoying skip it had started doing whenever he appeared. How do you know? She challenged. Ryan walked into the room, standing beside her to study the boards. Because your first instinct is usually right, but you second-guess yourself. Which one did you prefer initially? The one on the left, Natalie admitted. It feels more authentic. Then that is your answer. He turned to face her, close enough that she caught the scent of his cologne. Cedar and something citrus. Trust your instincts, Natalie. They brought you this far. She met his eyes, and the air between them shifted. This was not about taglines or campaigns. This was about the way her breath caught when he stood near, the way his gaze lingered on her face, the way every conversation felt like peeling back layers to reveal something deeper. Ryan, she whispered, using his first name for the first time at work, this feels complicated. It is complicated, he agreed quietly. But that does not make it wrong. For either could say more. Footsteps echoed in the hallway. They stepped apart naturally, professionally. As the cleaning staff passed by, Jessica's wisdom, that weekend. Natalie met Jessica at their favorite coffee shop. Needing to talk to someone who would understand the chaos in her head and heart, I think I am falling for him, Natalie confessed, stirring her latte without drinking it. And it is the worst possible situation. He is my boss. The CEO of the entire company? There are policies against this, not to mention what people would say. Jessica listened patiently, then smiled. Do you remember what you told me when I was afraid to apply for that design director position last year? That you would regret not trying more than trying and failing? Exactly. Jessica reached across the table, squeezing Natalie's hand. I am not saying ignore the complications. I am saying do not let fear of complications stop you from something that might be extraordinary. But what if it ruins everything? What if people think I only got the campaign because of personal reasons? What if it does not work out and then I have to leave the company I love? Those are all valid fears, Jessica acknowledged. But Natalie, I have watched you bloom over the past month. You come home excited about work, passionate about your projects, happy in a way I have not seen in years. Whether that is because of Ryan or because he has given you opportunities to shine, does it not deserve exploration? Natalie thought about late-night conversations, about the way Ryan listened to her ideas with genuine interest, about how safe she felt sharing her fears and dreams with him. I am terrified, she admitted. Good, Jessica said firmly. The best things in life are usually terrifying. The company policy Monday brought an unexpected complication. Margaret called an all-staff meeting to review updated company policies, including a revised section on workplace relationships. The new rules were clear. Relationships between supervisors and direct reports required immediate disclosure to human resources and potential reassignment. Natalie sat frozen as Margaret explained the policy. This was not about her and Ryan specifically. The update had been planned for months, but the timing felt like the universe throwing up a massive warning sign. After the meeting, she returned to her desk to find an email from Ryan. Simple, professional, but loaded with meaning. My office, when you have a moment. We should discuss the new policies. Her stomach twisted as she walked to his office. Through the glass walls, she could see him standing by the window, hands in his pockets. Looking out at the city, she knocked softly. He turned, gesturing for her to enter and close the door. I assume you understand why I wanted to talk, Ryan began. The relationship policy, Natalie said quietly. Yes. He moved closer, his expression serious. Natalie, I need you to understand something. I have built my career on integrity and transparency. I cannot and will not ask you to hide or compromise your professional reputation. Her heart sank. This was him being noble, putting her career first, ending things before they truly began. However, Ryan continued, I also refuse to let corporate policy dictate my personal life when I have found something genuine. So I have a proposal. Natalie looked up, hope flickering. I spoke with the board this morning. I am restructuring the marketing department's reporting line. You will report directly to Margaret instead of me, effective immediately. This removes the direct supervisor conflict. You restructured department reporting because of us? Natalie asked, stunned. I restructured it because it makes better operational sense, Ryan corrected with a slight smile. The fact that it also allows me to ask you to dinner without violating policy is simply convenient timing. Natalie felt tears prick her eyes, but they were happy tears. You would do that? Change company structure? Ryan stepped closer, reaching out to gently touch her hand. Natalie, I have spent my entire career building companies and making strategic decisions. But none of that matters if I lose the chance to explore what this could be. You challenge me, inspire me, make me laugh. I have not felt this way about anyone in a very long time. I feel the same way, she whispered, but I am scared. What if people think I do not deserve my position? What if they say, I slept my way to success? Then they would be wrong, and we would prove them wrong through your excellent work. Ryan's voice was firm. But I will not force this. If you want to keep things professional, I will respect that completely. The decision is entirely yours. The decision. Natalie stood in Ryan's office, aware that her next words would change everything. She thought about Jessica's advice, about the past month of late nights and meaningful conversations, about how alive she felt when Ryan looked at her with those honey-colored eyes. She thought about fear versus courage, safety versus possibility, rules versus heart. I want to try, she said finally. I want to see where this goes. Ryan's face transformed with a smile that was pure joy. Then let me take you to dinner. A proper date, no work discussion allowed. When? Tonight? Unless you need time to prepare? Natalie laughed, feeling lighter than she had in weeks. Tonight is perfect. 6 months later, the campaign launched to tremendous success, exceeding every projected metric. Natalie's team celebrated with champagne in the conference room while clients called to praise the innovative approach. Ryan watched from his office, pride evident on his face. When the celebration wound down, caught Natalie's eye and tilted his head toward the elevator. They met on the rooftop terrace, space few employees knew existed. The Denver sunset painted the sky in shades of orange and pink, and the city stretched out below them like a promise. I am proud of you, Ryan said, pulling her close. You built something remarkable. We built it together, Natalie corrected, leaning into his embrace. I could not have done this without your support. You could have, Ryan insisted. You just would not have had anyone to share celebratory rooftop sunsets with. Natalie turned in his arms, looking up at him. 6 months had passed since that dinner date. 6 months of navigating their relationship with care and transparency. There had been challenges, certainly. Some colleagues questioned the restructuring. A few made subtle comments. But Natalie's work spoke for itself, and Ryan's integrity was unquestionable. "Do you ever regret it?" she asked quietly. "The complications? The extra scrutiny?" Ryan cupped her face gently. "Not for a single second. You are worth every complication, every challenge, every moment of doubt. You are the best thing that has ever walked onto one of my planes." Natalie laughed, remembering that flight, her careless words, his mysterious smile. "I still cannot believe you did not tell me who you were." "Best decision I ever made," Ryan murmured, then kissed her softly as the sun set over Denver, painting their future in golden light. Below them, the city moved forward, full of people rushing toward destinations, making plans, living lives. But up here, time felt suspended. Perfect, complete. Sometimes the best stories began with mistakes. Sometimes they began with turbulence and fear. Sometimes they began with insults directed at a handsome stranger on a late-night flight. And sometimes, if you were very lucky, they ended with love. The end.